What is truth? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more. Dun, 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 dun. And then you're bobbing your head. And okay. Anyway, so hi. Oh yeah, I forgot to do the D. Whatever. Jomba. Jomba. Whatever. I've made enough comments on this guy's videos. So he finally said my name in a video and responded to a thing that I wrote with a video that he made. And now I have to respond to that video with this video that you're now watching of. And then things will happen. I don't know what will happen. So I've been leaving jaded comments on this guy's videos for a while now. And I've enjoyed the conversation. He seems pretty open to critiques and interaction. And even though I might have some kind of off-the-wall comment here or there, like, I'm not really sure what I was thinking when I wrote this particular comment per se, because, like, I wrote this thing about the Bible after I wrote the comment, and I'm like, I didn't even watch the video to see if it was about the Bible, so I'm not sure that one thing leads to the other in that comment. Oh well! So we're going to talk about it. Well, I am going to talk about it, and then, whatever. Anyway, so here we go. So I wrote a comment. He's responding to what I said in my last, and then, okay.
Hello. So Genesis, I will get to Genesis. This has been a project on my mind for a long time, and
Give me Genesis, Con. Con! Okay, sorry, I'm sorry.
it's like super daunting because there's so many pieces to it. I'm just gonna try and take little bites, but not today. I was thinking about this comment that was left on my last video, so that's what I'm gonna go ahead and talk about. This is from Deconverted Man. Okay.
He did the
So
thing!
truth is whatever is really real. A lie is told if and when we say something we think is not true or real. Okay.
Yeah, I think my pattern-seeking brain here wants to think that this has been a phenomenon I've noticed with uh, people online that I guess I've noticed it one other time lately, so that made me think, oh, I've seen this a lot. But no, that's not necessarily the case. Of people not, like, the word truth is some sort of mystery philosophical thing, and it's like, isn't it, it's just like really simple, like, isn't just whatever is real is true, the two words are equal, like, that's how I see the word. But then I go, oh yeah, that's not how everyone sees that word. And what, what is the truth? It's like whatever is real. Well, how do we get to that? It's complicated as bleep. So
Skipping out, there is no need to put a capital T for truth. We use caps to let the reader know that a sentence is beginning, to show important words in a title, which that was. And to signal proper names and official titles, it is silly to use it for that word. It does not make it more true to do this practice. So fair enough.
okay, now I gotta analyze myself and tell myself from the past that just because it's silly doesn't make it false. So, bad past self, how dare you do that?
Enough. Like I didn't technically say capital T truth, but I understand what you're saying, and that was kind of the direction that I was going with that. That's not exactly what I was saying. What I was saying is that facts, rather statements of fact.
Now, see, I don't get that. Why do air quotes around fact? Like, you quote suggests, well, suggest a number of things. You're quoting somebody else, perhaps, but in this context, it's like the word I'm saying isn't being used the way that the word appears. It's not really a fact. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. It's like fact, quote unquote. It's like, the truth is, the news told us all this truth, and you put quotes, or it's like, yeah. I put many, many, many quotes around things sometimes, and I've come up with the phrase "not enough quotes in the universe," to say that the word that I'm putting quotes around is like that's not what's going on here. It's the opposite of that. So if it's not a fact, let's not call it a fact then. Let's clarify the language and not use quotes at all and just not call it a fact. A fact is something that is a verifiable thing that that you and I and everyone else can have access to the data on and verify the evidence for it. And so if we can all do that, then that is a fact. So it doesn't need quotes anymore.
Are not true in the same way, generally, that they are true. So, in the same way that they describe reality, they also fail to describe reality. And that's usually just the limitation of language and the sentence of like a statement of, fact being a representation of an idea. So you're dealing with language, you're dealing with subjectivity. So, like, for example, if I were to say something like, uh, Deacon, forgive me if I spell something weird here. I'm just gonna go quick. Deconverted man um, left a comment on my video. This is a statement of fact, correct? Well, like I know that this is a fact because I have context. Like I understand all of these words and what I mean by them, and I'm sure you understand what I mean by them. But suppose somebody approached this statement of fact, how would you confirm it to be true or not?
All right, so oh yeah, let's fix natural language. I would love to. Yeah, natural language is it's a thing, and in casual conversation we're apt to use shortcuts, whereas in a more formalized setting, we're going to use more precise language or complicated language. That's why I suppose when you read, the abstract of a scientific paper, kind of lays out what you're going to read in in plain English, even though the words are perhaps different than what we would normally encounter in everyday conversation, unless of course you're in that field, then I suppose you do encounter those words a lot. Uh, so it's a much more technical level of precision, and legal documents have their own language to them. So this is done in part to try to negate the ambiguity of language. Language isn't a precise thing, uh, well, just due to the nature of, I suppose, reality. So, yes, the question of epistemology, which is what you're asking when you ask, how do we verify that this statement is true, is the thing that I've been um, trying to get at with you uh, for, well, the entire time we've exchanged words there. Uh, J. I was just gonna call him J. Jomb. I don't know. J is good. All right, let's just say J. Um, because that's it. That's the dividing line between the skeptic and the believer in, well, anything, is epistemology, and the way that we humans try to figure out what is real and the method that we use to figure that out. What is the best method? Is there a best method? And how do we go about doing that? And as a skeptic, I've examined that question and thought about it, and the after however many years I've been doing this thing on YouTube, uh, my conclusion keeps coming back to that the best system we appear to have is the scientific method. Now, I would like to include informal logic under the banner of science, but some see it as as philosophy. Um, Fair enough, I guess. Whatever. But if informal logic is under the banner of science, then it has everything that we would need to deduce what's real. But those that believe in the supernatural, the paranormal, the mystical, the supernatural, the spiritual, the unverifiable phenomenon, those that believe in those things tend to overplay the flaws or the problems in the methodology of science. Well, we can't use science for, and then they try to find an example of something that they think that we can't use science for. They'll say, well, this is scientism. And I reject these. I reject the notion of scientism as a defeater. And I also reject that I don't think that there is anything that science cannot be used to show. And yes, if we include informal logic under the banner of science, you could show that science is valid using informal logic, in the same way that you can show that informal logic is valid using informal logic. But that's through axioms. But yes, it is still a proof, an axiomatic proof, but nonetheless. Okay, so the supernatural, paranormal belief system is one that you cannot verify through empirical methodology. You cannot visualize this phenomenon, or at least you cannot visualize it on demand in a way that others can also visualize it, and you cannot test it, and you cannot repeatably test it because it's rare, it's infrequent, what it is depends on who you're talking to. There's many problems with trying to get to what it is, let alone examine it. So those that propose the supernatural tend to, how do I put it, not like empiricism, rage against naturalism, materialism, or what they call scientism, and say, oh, you're asking the wrong question. This is a common phrase we'll hear, in regards to God asking for evidence. You're asking that's silly. Of course God doesn't have evidence. It's not a natural thing. Natural things have evidence, but this is not a natural thing. It's a supernatural thing. Okay, it's magic. Just say it's not verifiable. Right, of course. You're asking for a verification of something not verifiable. How do you know that it's not verifiable? Well, because we can't verify it. Then how do you know what it is? And that doesn't have an answer to it. There is not an answer to it. So it appears to me as a skeptic that this whole truth, reality problem of identifying it and getting to it hinges upon epistemology. And it seems if you have a belief in the paranormal, the supernatural, etc., that because it's not verifiable by the scientific methodology, that then you have to demean science in some way, shape, or form, point out its flaws or shortcomings, and then try to say, well, there's questions that you can't answer through that. So we have to answer it through philosophy, or we have to answer it through this other methodology. And you go, oh, that's interesting. Okay, how does that methodology work exactly? And there's no real satisfying answer to that either. So, epistemology, how we decide what something is true, is indeed the core of the theological versus non theological conversation, so to speak. And my methodology is, I think, fairly straightforward: empirical evidence, repeatable tests, a valid and sound argument. If I have one of those three things, then I have what is real, or as close to as reality as I'm going to get. And it's not just that I have it, but that everyone has access to it. So, in regards to your question, which is a good question to ask, it's a deep question, somebody that had no idea what the context of this particular statement is might have no idea whether it's true or not, whether it's verifiable or not, or even what it means. So, somebody speaking a totally different language, obviously that's, in a totally different culture, they're going to have absolutely no idea what this is. We can, however, turn this into a logical format. So, how dare you use WordPad? The right thing to use in these videos is MS Paint. you charlatan. You no. So MS Paint. All right. So, I know. I'm just kidding. So X did Z. Okay. So either that's true or it's not true. Because X is now, DM, did, TM, I can't type, did, C on V. And we don't necessarily need to know what DM and C and V are anymore. We just know that it's saying that, X did Y on Z, and so it's either going to be true or false. If X did not do something didn't do Y, then it's false. It doesn't matter if X did it on Z. If they didn't do Y, then the statement's false. If they did Y but not on Z, then the statement's false. And this is what's called a truth table. And I don't like truth tables, but they are useful at times. I don't want to do a truth table in real time. Why did I make this a non-edited video? Okay, so either DM did C on V, yes, or no, right? And then you have also on the truth table you have, did he do it on C but not V, and you put in yes or no and whatever. And anyways, after you do this fuddy-duddy thing with the dang truth table, you get to the result of it's a very lengthy way to say it's either this whole statement is true or it's false, because it all has to be true or it doesn't matter. So we don't now, how do we verify it's true? Because it's all good and fine to do this analytic sort of thing and to put it in informal this is more formalized logic. That's all nice, but how do we verify in reality that this is a thing that happened? That's a great question. So let's go back now, and I just realized I did this whole thing on MS Paint, and I didn't show any of it, so I suck apparently. So yeah, so whatever. You know what? We don't need MS Paint. Who uses MS Paint anyways? What kind of psychopath would you? Go back to the video.
So there's two ways that we can go with this. And first, I'm going to make it more specific. So, be converted man is that even correct? Yeah, it's together.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, yes.
That is
Well, yeah. The screen name appears as one word, but it's two words. I'm from India. What's lunch? Indiana. That's a whole separate video. We'll cover what logic is some other time. we'll pretend that you know what logic is.
is actually a YouTube channel. That is not a person. To make it verifiable, I would have to say, I'm just going to say so and so signed in to. Okay, well, that's approaching something that is verifiably true. So like,
Right. So the precision of language is what you're aiming at here. And yes, you would have to say my real name, which I will not use online. So instead, I will use a fake name, Dan Green, that I've used for my book, Copy to an Infinite Hope of Finite Despair, and Lightbringer, both available on Amazon. Shameless plug. So Dan Green signed in, or was already signed in to YouTube, and posted a comment onto a video that jomb had created, and you could do all that, or you could just show a screenshot. That's probably good enough. It really is, because it's a very, very mundane claim that we're making. And so verifying this claim is really that simple. It's just here's a screenshot. Now, can you fake screenshots? Of course you can. But you've provided something. So you have upheld some burden of proof. Deconverted Man left this comment. You showed it, actually, you showed earlier on screen, you showed the comment in question on screen in real time. I believe you even, did you scroll back and forth? Or was this a static picture? I don't remember. Okay, it's a static picture. Okay, but you could have scrolled back and forth and shown that if you have faked it, then you've gone to a lot of trouble to fake it. But now the burden would be upon those that claim that it's fake to demonstrate that it's fake somehow. If they're, doing that might be, extraordinarily difficult, but nonetheless, that's what we would do. But with a very mundane claim like this, we're gonna grant it. More so because here you go. There's the evidence that I left the comment. It's right there on the screen. That's good enough. So there you go. That's how we could verify it. And we can show that it's on a particular video, etc., etc. But yes, we can get more complicated and deeper than that. Back to what you're saying here.
So that's not actually, like, I can't confirm whether or not that's true. It's technically unfalsifiable. But I
No, not at all. Uh, so, so unfalsifiable. It's a deductive standard of evaluation of scientific theories and hypotheses, introduced by the philosopher Karl Popper in his book Logic of Scientific Discovery. A theory or hypothesis is falsifiable if it can be logically contradicted by empirical test. So there would be ways to demonstrate that I did not leave any comment or that particular comment. Although the ability to do so is rather difficult to obtain. So if this was, I don't know, if I had left a comment that threatened the president of the United States, which I wouldn't do, but if I had, you could send that to the Secret Service. They would attain a warrant, and they would get they would obtain my computer, and they'd get a computer expert, and they'd download my hard drive and my IP, and they'd get the YouTube video and screenshots, and they'd have all this stuff that shows that my computer at this time was logged in to this network that connected to that network, and that the IP address was active, and that that the account was signed in, and that somebody who was using my computer left this threat. Now, they have to establish that that somebody is me. And, well, okay, then they bring in the keyboard, and the keyboard has my fingerprints on it, my DNA all over it, and not in a gross way. I don't think so. And okay, but there's some other fingerprints on it. Fingerprints of other people that have used my keyboard. So they bring in those people as well, perhaps. And it's like, okay, it's you or it's them, because those are the only fingerprints we have. Those are the only DNA we have. Okay, can we place you at that place at the time? And now we have to, show that. And so that might actually be very difficult or impossible to do. Well, your car was there. We verify that your car was there, and we verify this and that. And it might get to the point where the evidence is stacked against me, but ultimately they cannot show that it was me. But they could show beyond a reasonable doubt, if we needed that it was probably me. And I don't know that the Secret Service would need to do any of that to get me into hot water if I, threatened the president. But nonetheless, that's empirical investigation. We have the DNA, we have the IP address, we have all this other evidence. And ultimately, you're right. We might not actually be well, you're right in a sense that we might not be able to show that it's true in full. Which means then we could hold in question if it's true or not. But when being skeptical, we have to be very careful to not become skeptical of reality itself and say, okay, do I have any reason to think that someone besides Dan Green, whoever that is, left this comment? Is this his style? Is this, something that he's said before, etc.? And so, no, I don't really have any reason to suspect that it was somebody else. And Deconverted Man that's me, is now saying, hey, yes, I left that comment. So I am verifying that, yes, indeed, I left this particular comment. And that should erase any doubt that we might have had on the matter. Now, could I be lying? I suppose I could be. But do I have, what reason is there to lie? So the positive reasons that we have to accept this rather mundane claim outclass all the minor questions that we might have. But it's a very mundane claim. And so we grant, typically, the benefit of doubt to other humans. This is known as the social contract. So when you, Job, I'm going to keep saying his name differently. How do we say his name, everybody? JOMB. What do we think we pronounce this as in chat? Okay. But anyways, that's why I keep calling him J. Uh, my brain went blank. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna go back to the video now because my brain's just blanked out there. I said Jacob and my brain went blank.
I accept that it's true. But if somebody from the outside was looking at this, it's like, well, no, I skipped a step here because what we could say is Deconverted Man commented on my video. And that would be even less verifiable because that technically doesn't, that could have just been a statement. Like that's very unfalsifiable. But this, the way it is here, it left a comment, so that implies that it was a comment within YouTube. Okay.
Oh, right. What reasons do we think that it's not there, right? So the right, that's it. That's what I was going on. Okay, the social contract. Whew, wow. Um, so the social contract is if Jacob here says I ate dinner last night, I'm going to accept that. I'm going to say yeah, you ate dinner last night. I have no reason to think that you're lying. I don't need to verify that statement. It requires no burden of proof to, as far as I care. I don't care. Yeah, whatever. Good enough. Why? Because it's a mundane claim. It's not that important. Maybe you're lying. Maybe you're wrong. Maybe a lot of things, but it's just, who cares? Uh, but if you say, I ate dinner last night with the President of the United States, I'm going to want you to prove that. Because that's not an ordinary mundane claim. It's a rather extraordinary claim. And yes, Carl Sagan made famous and did the first quote of, you know, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. Which is really just saying we need evidence, but we need a lot of it. We need more evidence than we do for the mundane. So I took a walk to the park. Don't need it. You don't really need evidence. Yeah, we probably could get it. Maybe we can't. It's not that big of a deal if I did or didn't. Who cares? I flew to the park. What do you mean you flew? No, I flew like Superman. Did you though? Yes, I can fly. I can levitate. I'm making claims that are not normal claims. They're not mundane. They're not ordinary claims. I can turn water into wine. That is something extraordinary. It's something that we have not seen demonstrated. So we're going to want me to show that that's real. So I would say, yes, you're kind of on the right track of this investigation that you're doing of how do I verify these claims that are mundane. And yeah, they might not be verifiable, but typically we grant them because there's really little need to not grant them. Just to clarify, the mundane, we typically grant innocence unless guilt is suspected. And everything you're saying here is good skeptical thinking, by the way. It is good skeptical thinking. Go, well, how do I verify this? How do I verify Deconverted Man left a comment? What does that mean? How do I, the nitty gritty of that? That's very good aim at skepticism.
Okay, so it's already a little bit more specific than I meant to start out with. But then that person would have to go through like all of my videos. Now, there's been quite a few that this is true about. So, but when I say my video, I didn't say a video. I said my video as a specific video. That person wouldn't know what I'm referring to. So let's make it more specific. Okay, so now the person doesn't have to scroll through like all of my videos to see what I'm talking about and to confirm whether or not this is true. Now we can make it a little bit more specific because who am I? Okay, so I even skipped forward another step. So and so signed into the while signed into the YouTube account Deconverted Man, left a comment on the video titled "What is Truth?" posted by the account jomb, located here. I even posted the link. All right.
Hey, we know how to say it now. You said it. Jump. Cool. Watch me forget that in a few seconds. Or listen to me forget it because you're not watching me because I'd have to turn on my webcam. And I don't feel like doing that right now. Maybe I will, but yes, you are correct. This is a far more precise statement that you have made than the original statement, and I like this phrasing of the statement is the sort of precision and effort that I'm looking for in your other videos. This level of this happened in this way at this place. Here's the reference to it, which is the link that you've provided. So Abraham Lincoln once said the internet's a great place to post some dank memes. Well, where did I get that idea from? Well, here's a link to that. Yeah, but is that verified? I mean, no, okay, no. I mean, the internet wasn't around when Abe Lincoln was around. This is kind of silly. Maybe somebody named Abe Lincoln, So I mean, uh, is it even worth my time to investigate it further? Might be another question. But if but so but this level of precision is good. This is good enough, actually, for me at any rate. If you make any claim in your videos going forward about God, the Bible, whatever, this sort of careful wording and citation, especially citation, whether that citation appears in the ideally in the video itself. It says citation 1, 2, and 3, and then in the description of the video, citation 1, 2, and 3 can link to whatever articles, whatever websites you have on the matter, whatever you want to present as your citations. Is it necessary to do that to satisfy this skeptic? Yes. In general, no. You do whatever the bleep you want. I don't care, but this would, yes, satisfy me. Okay.
So that if anyone approaching that could confirm whether or not that was true. But is this more true than this statement up here? I mean, like I said, that first statement is kind of an absurdity because a YouTube account can't do anything. So I went one direction with this. I made it more specific, more verifiable. But let's go the other direction. So starting back here, how about someone? Okay. So this is a more general. Now it could include anyone that was signed in to the account. So now this statement up here, while being more specific, is unfalsifiable. I can't go back in time and show that this person was the one that left the comment. Now let's fix it, but let's fix it in the other direction. One of my videos. Okay.
Right. And all of this, the precision of language. Again, this is good skeptical reasoning. This is good. This is good investigation on your part. This is pretty darn impressive. I have to say. So well done. That being said, just in the back of my head, I'm thinking you relearn or reread informal logic a little bit more. If you haven't read a book on it in a while, I don't know why. It's like you get it, but why is this not happening in the other videos? Like, and I kind of hear the way you might be going is like, this is less true than the other thing. Well, it's less precise, sure, but I guess if that's where you're going with it, hopefully not. It's like this is less true than the other thing. I would understand that. I would just say precise, I guess. It's a matter of preference of words at that point, but I don't know if you're going that way with it.
Just say jomb YouTube channel. Now, this actually encompasses more truth. Like this encompasses more reality. Now, but we can go even further with that.
Well, it encompasses more possibilities. You're leaving open the door of possibilities rather than it being somebody, something or someone with the avatar name of Deconverted Man put these words on a video that I posted on YouTube. And who or what did that, I have no idea, but there you go. Here's the best verification I have of it. There's a screenshot. Here's a video of me scrolling around. So you can see, like, here, look, I'm scrolling around. Oh, it's very hard to fake a video doing that. Like, look, I've scrolled all the way down and up. And so I didn't make see, I forgot how to say his name. Told you I would. Job's, whatever, Combs video. Screw it. I don't know anymore. How do I know that this guy is Vacomb? I don't know. How do I know that he's not really a robot alien from the planet Venus? Well, what proof do I have that he's any of those things? So, um, but yeah, what playing with language as you are, you're just allowing for the possibility of being wrong, which is good.
Someone left a comment on one of my videos. Well, that's true of virtually all of my videos. So it encompasses even more truth. And then, well, why don't we just go even broader with this? We're going full on here. Someone left a comment on a YouTube video. That encompasses even more truth.
Now, see, I guess this is the different ways of using that word truth. Yes, I suppose that is one way to look at it. I would say that it allows for more possibility. It's a very generalized statement. It's like, yeah, somebody somewhere probably left a comment on some YouTube video at some point in time. And yeah, that's something that people can do. I've seen a comment on YouTube videos. So yeah, sure, I agree. That is a statement that is true. I have no reason to think object to that statement, and it's broadly true, and it's not specifically true, and that's fine. So it's a general statement about reality rather than a specific statement about reality, but it's still true. It's still real. So I don't like the phrasing of it. It contains more truth, or I don't know. It's just that doesn't sit well with me personally. But again, we're using language here, and you know, but yes. How do we resolve it? Both statements are true. This one's generally true. The other one's specifically true. There you go. So is that different categories of truth? Different categories of reality? Well, it's different categories of precision. But but they're still true or they're still false. And they are verifiable within some degree, and to some degree they could be falsified, although we might not have access to do that. Depends on what we have access to. Uh,
But I can make it even better. Someone commented on a YouTube video. That includes all statements in person, right? All verbalizations of a comment on any YouTube video. Or why limit it to YouTube? Someone commented on a video. That includes all like Vimeo, any movie that's ever existed, anything. So is this statement more true than this statement?
no, I don't. More precise, yes. More true, no. They're both valid. They're both real, but one's more precise than the other. So that's how I would look at that. It's hopefully making clear how I use this particular word. Uh, let's go with a very simple disjunctive syllogism. Either the light is on or it's off. And that's the two states it could be in. It can't be anything else. And it doesn't matter what light I'm talking about. It's either on or off. And that's it. So it's off. Okay, then it's off. And all we have to go on is the syllogism. Is, the light is on or it's off. It's off. Okay, it's off. That's it. That's it. That's the best we can do. And all that's fine. That's perfectly, absolutely fine. So, I'm going to play the rest of what you have to say because there's so much more I need to unpack about what it is or why it is that we're even having this discussion in what is this all actually about. In one way, yes, it's about empiricism, how we verify things. But why are we talking about that? Well, because Deconverted Man's a skeptic. I am a skeptic. Dan Green is a skeptic. And J. Combe, is not a skeptic. He has beliefs, lots of beliefs. A belief in God, a belief in the Judeo-Christian version of God, a beliefs about that God and how that God functions and how Jesus should be viewed or shouldn't be viewed and how all of that works. Those are all beliefs that he has. And so that's why I somehow, let's see if I can find the thing here. Hold on a second. Yeah, so one of these videos, and I have no idea which one it is. Oh, perhaps the Deconstructed Christian or something like that. One of these videos. Oh, maybe it was this one. The only evidence for God is everything. This one, when I was searching for proof of God or evidence of God, this video popped up. And so I left the comment, which I stole that question from that one guy. You know who I'm talking about now. Oh, what's his name? B.S. Lewis. That's its name. What would not count as evidence for God? And we had a great conversation about what wouldn't count for God. And I even put that in my community tab, which you may or may not know is a thing. That's like right here, community tab, where you can put stuff and say things and whatever. And so that started this whole madness. So that's what we're going back and forth about in the first place, is prove that there's a God. And he's like, well, but I can't do that. In the same way, I can't prove that you wrote that comment. No, it's very different. Very different. The two things are night and day. They are apples to oranges. There is a huge difference between those two things. You can absolutely verify that a human with the screen name Deconverted Man has put this comment there, more so because the person that has that screen name has said that they've done that and is saying that they do that, and we can verify that that's that guy because he goes, hey, I'm Deconverted Man. That's as good as we're gonna get for that verification. We can't really get much better than Deconverted Man himself saying, yeah, I'm Deconverted Man. I've been Deconverted Man. I've never, well, I was at one point not Deconverted Man, but as long as I've been Deconverted Man on my channel, I've been Deconverted Man. That's as much verification as we're going to get, okay? But when it comes to God, we have nothing at all. Not even nothing. Not a thing. You know, oh man, Deconverted Man, that's a bit far, don't you think? Nope. No, it's not. We have proof that humans exist. We have proof that the YouTube exists. We have proof that comments on YouTube are a thing. We have proof that humans and computers can leave comments on other YouTube videos. And we have ample proof, in this case, that a particular user, Deconverted Man, left a particular comment on a particular video. But we have zero proof of what God even is, let alone if it is anything at all. We have nothing to examine there because it's not empirical, because it's not testable, because, as far as I know, there is no valid and sound argument for it. So everything and anything that we say about God is speculation, pure speculation. What it is, what makes a thing God? Well, it has to create the universe. Why? Well, that's what a thing is. It's God. But why? What is that? Why? Why is that God? That whatever created the universe, that's God. Why? Because we've decided as humans that we're going to label whatever it is that created the universe, we're going to label it God. Okay, so it's a label. Right, yeah, it's the label. It's a question mark. Well, why not just use a question mark? I don't know. We didn't feel like using the question mark, so we decided that we're going to use the word God instead of question mark. Okay, fine. So that's what God is. It's whatever made the universe. And we've all agreed that that's what the word God means. Then that's what the word God means. But we haven't all agreed that that's what the word God means. Because people say, no. It's not enough that it created the universe. It also has to do this, that, and the other, all these other attributes. And you go, well, what made you decide those things? And the honest answer, if you push hard enough and dig deep enough, is their holy book told them, or their tradition told them, their religion told them, or their own personal belief told them that that's what God is. I know that God is love. How do you know that? Because when I felt God, I felt love. How do you know that you didn't just feel love? Because it was more than just the sort of love that I've had. It was it was God. How do you know it was God? Because I don't know what else to call it. So why not say it's a question mark then? Because I've decided to call it God. Oh, I've decided that it's God. I haven't demonstrated that it's God. I've believed that it was God. That's the difference. The empirical investigation of reality is a difficult one, as you've already outlined. But it's one that we undertake with small steps, and we don't all undertake it because we are not all scientists, but we're all doing science at some level. It's just we're doing it in very mundane ways. We're performing experiments on reality in small ways. We're just not recording that data, necessarily. I'm assuming that this stream is live. I see people's avatars' name in chat. I see a lot of things that they've written. The electricity could go off. That would suck.
That would scare the bleep out of me. One, because I said that it could go off, and then if it did, I would be like, ah! I'd scream and be very frustrated and, you know, try to figure out what's going on and call the power company and check outside, yada, yada. Maybe it was a storm, you know. But as I've made this example many, many times, and I guess I can't think of a better example to make, so I guess I'll make it again. If the door to my room down the hall opens suddenly, well, it's going to scare me. That's first of all. But after I'm done being scared, I'm going to probably think it was a person, because people tend to open doors. Then I'm going to go investigate it, probably with a knife after calling 911, possibly. I don't know. But I'm going to go investigate it. And upon seeing that the window to my room is closed and secured, and that the other door to the bathroom is closed and secured, and that small window is closed and secured, and looking around and seeing no person, looking in the closet, and that there's no one there, and also I saw no animal there, and I go, okay, well, maybe, well, it couldn't have been the wind. The door must have not been latched correctly. So I'm going to mess with that. I'm going to fiddle with that. I'm going to explore that. I'm going to investigate that. Then the question I ask is, at what point during my investigation of my door am I allowed to declare it must have been a ghost? That is why my door opened. That a ghost is responsible for opening my door. What amount of things must I run out of before I can declare it was a ghost? The point of that question is the whole discussion in full. Because a believer could say, I believe it's a ghost. Ghosts can open doors? Well, I mean, I guess so. That must have been why your door opened. It must be a ghost. How do you know that? Well, because there's no other answer. We don't know that there's no other answer. Well, you ran out of answers. Yeah, but what proof do I have of a ghost? Let alone what proof do I have that ghosts can open doors? Oh, I don't. I don't have proof of ghosts. I don't have proof that ghosts can open doors. I have a belief that ghosts can open doors. I have a belief in ghosts, at best. But I have no demonstrable demonstration of those things. So I must be skeptical of those things. I must hold in question those things. For the mundane things, some of them can be verified, others are harder to verify, but for the most part, broadly speaking, we can verify them to some extent. We can know at some level that they're real, that they're true. But for the paranormal, the supernatural, the extrasensory powers, ESP, the psychics, the the superstition, the myth, the all of those things are, it seems, not things at all. An example, James Randi, great man, miss him a lot, did a number of experiments on people that made claims about reality. They said, I can do this thing. So this guy, I can move this paper with my mind in this phone book. Ooh, wow. Not very impressive. Why can't you lift the whole phone book off the table? That would be impressive. But he sprinkles some popcorn peanuts on it. Now the guy can't do it. Why? Because he was blowing on it. And he said that's what he's doing. He's blowing on it. And there was another thing something in Germany where these people thought, oh well, this this reading of the mind waves will detect when this radiation is greater or not greater. And he did this very simple experiment to show them that there was nothing really going on. And one of the guys that's a scientist there said, well, maybe we just don't have the way to prove that these things are real yet. Because he believed, he wanted to believe in the paranormal explanation. The mundane explanation wasn't enough. And for some people, the mundane isn't enough. But I think that the way that reality really is already amazing enough. We're made out of atoms. That's what the plate. What is that? How does that work? They're made out of subatomic particles that spin around, and then they're in probable places that we think might be, and we're not even sure how some of that works. That's amazing. That's already cool enough. Why do we need to add more magic to that? Especially things that we can't verify. Well, there's many reasons why. Humans love storytelling. And we have really good imaginations. But the downside of that is sometimes we can believe our own stories. And sometimes we believe that they're true. Especially when authority figures, or those that appear to be authority figures, tell us that they're true. Especially when those stories have been repeated throughout time and in our culture, and perhaps told to us by people we care about, then we think that those stories are true. And we think those stories are true, we don't critically analyze them, we don't investigate them, because feeling like they're true is comforting. It is safe, and it is familiar. And I can tell you, from my own experience, deconverting sucked. But only for a little bit. But being a skeptic, I have learned more about reality than I ever learned as a believer, because I had a fear of reality as a believer, because I couldn't find out that my belief was wrong. But as a skeptic, I like being wrong. I'm never wrong, but I mean, I the few times I'm wrong, I enjoy it, because I learned something new. The sort of skepticism that you're attempting to employ here, use that on God. See where it goes. Raise your standards. Don't lower the bar for evidence, Pragmatic Crystal says, or types in chat, or at least somebody that has her name has said that, or it might be a robot, it might be a lobster, but something somewhere wrote something like that. We have zero evidence, actually demonstrable evidence of the paranormal, supernatural stuff. We have stories. And whenever we've investigated those stories, they turn out to be diddly squat every single time. I've looked into the matter, and every time the result is the same. The story is not reported well, it's not covered well, etc. An example I just learned recently, Bermuda Triangle. Oh, I used to think, oh man, all this mystery surrounding the Bermuda Triangle. Guess what? It's bullshit. The Bermuda Triangle doesn't have any more accidents than any other place in the world. Period. What? No. Yes. Well, but why do we think that it does? Because the story got popular. That's why. Oh, there's no mystery. There's nothing bizarre about this area. Planes and boats go in and out of it all the time. And sometimes there's accidents, just like there are everywhere else. But because people are looking at it more, it seems more magical when something happens. Oh, they went missing. We don't know why. Mystery of the Bermuda Triangle. Well, sometimes that happens. Other places in the world where things go missing, we don't know why, and they're not recovered. That does happen. But it's not mystical and magical because we're not paying special attention to it. But we're paying extra special attention to this small region. And so when anything happens, it's magical and mystical. But it's not. It's normal and mundane. Oh. Oh, okay. And I was like, but, I thought it was this mystery, and I thought maybe the magnetic atmosphere. No, nothing. Nothing happens. It's normal area. No magic. Oh, darn. Well, that sucks. But also, cool. I bet many of you are like, wait a minute, I'm going to make sure that Decorator Man's right about the Bermuda Triangle. Yeah, well, there you go. We were fooled. The way that reality really is amazing. Verifying it is very difficult. But when you have something that you cannot hope to verify at all, in any way, shape, or form, like the supernatural, your personal experience of the thing, especially that too can be explained in some other way that is normal, natural, and mundane. Well, if the normal, natural, mundane stuff is happening all the time everywhere, maybe that's all that's ever happening. And the magic is the magic that we believe and not the magic that really is. But thank you for responding to my video comment that I left. And I know I didn't finish your video on air, but I will listen to the rest of it in case I missed something. Perhaps I'll do it now. You know what? It's my stream. I don't care if anyone else wants to hear it. I will play it, so nobody can accuse me of not having listened to all of it. Haha! That will show them.
Is that statement? So let's get rid of all this because I think you get my point. Which of these statements is more true? Well, they both describe reality. One is more specific, detailed, and while being more specific, it's actually less verifiable. On the other hand, this broader statement is more verifiable and it encompasses more reality. So does that make it more true? I mean, I would say so, because it is. Now, this is not, I don't need to put a capital T on truth for either one of these to be true. So-and-so did post a comment on this specific video, and someone commented on a video. Like those are both just facts, but one is more true. Really, that boils down to the subjective meaning that we place on the word true. And, I can delineate a specific fact, which happens to be true, and say, well, I want to call broader things, capital T true, that's a personal choice. I've done that in the past, not necessarily doing that here, but this is what I'm getting at, and this is leading somewhere. Okay, so when we talk about Genesis, are we looking at factual representations of a specific event, or are we looking at a broad truth that is represented as an account, let's say, or a narrative, like it's placed within a narrative that's telling us something beyond just the specific detail of the thing?
I'm glad I continued to watch, because I have comments to make now. Haha! Which follow from what I was already lamenting on in my previous bit, where I lamented for quite some time on pontificated. So, the story of Genesis is like any other story. What is it? Gilgamesh? Epic of Gilgamesh? Um, or Shakespeare? Or Star Wars. It's a story. And stories can be what we want. I've got a book over here. Let's read from that book. Sure, why not? Alright. Giles de Zide Flex Guittari, 1,000 Plateaus. Oh, yes. I have no idea why I got this. Well, it's just the intro. Oh, man. That's a long intro. Smell of new book. Alright. Okay. A rhizome has no beginning or end. It's always in the middle, between things, intermezzo. The tree is flirtation, but the rhizome is alliance, uniquely alliance. The tree imposes the verb to be, but the fabric of the rhizome is the conjunction and. Wow! I have absolutely no idea what that's talking about, because I picked that randomly from this book that I haven't started reading yet. Oh, that's going to be a good book to read. But I'm already reading another book on we ourselves, so I got to finish that one first. So, what does that mean? That could be some part of some grand narrative that does that. Yeah, sure, it could be. Or it could just be something that somebody made up that means nothing. What, have you examined the lobsters lately? No, seriously, have you? Have you ever examined the why? Why would you? Who cares? Well, I care. I want people to look at it. Oh, come on. Somebody look at. Oh, but deconverted man, you're not. No, I'm serious, damn it. Look at the lobsters. Look at it. Look. See, look. Look. You've got become a lobsterist, right? And there's the link. And then there's the new lobsterist, and there's another link. And then the holiest lobsterist, and there's another link, right? And those are the lobsterists. And you can read them. And they say words. And you could extrapolate from those words to be poetic about reality. Or you could say, it's just a book. It's just a book. It's made up. It doesn't mean anything. It means whatever you want it to mean. So it means everything and it means nothing. What does the Mona Lisa mean? It's just art. It's a picture. It's what we make of it. But is it real? No, the story of Genesis is not real. Because there was no Adam and Eve. Period. End of story. There wasn't. There was no Garden of Eden. Period. End of story. There just wasn't. There was no tree of the knowledge of the good and evil and the tree of eternal life. And there was no talking serpent. And there was no gate that got shut and then got guarded by... None of that is true. And anything that you can extrapolate from it is just an extrapolation. It's what do I think that these words mean?
And what you think those words mean are going to be different from whatever anyone else thinks that those words mean. And we're never going to have a consensus on what we think these words mean, because what we're doing is subjectively looking at text of a story. And instead of doing that, which as interesting as that might be, I don't know. I'd just rather know if it's real or not real. It's not real. It's not true. It didn't happen. What truths does it reveal? Nothing. Nothing I couldn't get from somewhere else and maybe get better of. But you could get it from here. Yeah, you could get it from the lobsters too. It's called critical analysis. You can do it on anything. Jordan Peterson did it on Pinocchio. And if you really want to, and Deconverted Man recommends, watching the entire series of lectures on Peterson's Pinocchio. It's long, takes a while to get through it all, but I did, and I quite enjoyed it. And I don't really care about that movie, Pinocchio, but it was interesting. And what he does there, and whether you like Peterson or not, set that to the side, because what he does there is critical analysis of a story. Here's what the story says. Here's what I think that means. That's all he does the entire lecture. And I find that interesting, because I learned critical analysis at one point in time, and it changed the way I look at things. Like, oh, that's interesting. I can extrapolate. But I can do that with anything, and so can you, and so can anybody. There is an art to it, and it is interesting, but at the end of the day, Pinocchio isn't really real. And the ideas that we extrapolate from it are interesting and might align with reality, but why not just go with reality then? Why not just go to, what's the moral of the story? Well, there's a lot of morals to the story. But how do we get to that? Well, it depends what you look at, because it depends how you look at it. And yeah, and all of that is completely subjective. And that's why some people like certain movies and people hate certain movies. And what you get out of it. It's like, is it a good movie? Is it a bad movie? And what, you know. So, it's a cool story, but that's it. And so these deeper metaphysical truths, no. You can get that, if you're looking for that, you can get that from anything, anywhere, but why not just use reality itself and not use story and myth? Anything that you're going to extrapolate from that story is going to be, at best, pure speculation. Actually, I don't think you could get anything but pure speculation from that story. And Peterson did do a lecture on Genesis as well that I did watch. I don't remember it now, but I did at the time think it was interesting how he went about it. Because especially later on when he got to the Ark of the Covenant, things got really interesting. Because he spent a lot of time talking about drugs. And I was like, why is he talking about drugs instead of the Ark of the Covenant? What's one thing got to do? And so he finally gets to the point, which I wish he'd gotten to a lot sooner, where he's like, maybe the Ark of the Covenant had cocaine in it, and that's why they protected it, and then they smelled the cocaine, and that's what gave them power in battle. I'm like, oh, okay. It's a secular explanation of what's really what might have, quote, really happened if we pretend that the story is real at all, which I don't see why we should, but he is for I don't know if he thinks it's real or not, I don't know, but he's trying to explain what's going on in the story as if the story really took place, and doing so in a secular way. And I'm like, I like that. I want more of that. Let's have the secular version of the Bible. That's cool. I like that idea. Let's aim for that. But the Christians didn't hear that. They only heard the parts that they wanted to hear. They didn't hear the secular possibility. They heard the spiritual stuff that they wanted to hear in that lecture. And so that's what they walked away with. So we walk away with different stuff from the same lecture. because the lecture itself is his opinion, his view of reality. Well, Deconverted Man, you're doing that right now. You're giving me your version of reality. No, I'm giving you reality as best as I can, as best as any of us can. I'm illuminating the fact that we can take different things from different things, but that doesn't make that thing any more true than it already was or wasn't. A fictional character, Deconverted Man, could do things that the actual Deconverted Man could not do or would not do. Gone with the Wind. There's a lot you could pull from Gone with the Wind, but it's not true either.
The hyper literalists, so to speak, are like, well, everything took place within these like 24-hour time frames. And it's like, well, technically the word day in Hebrew is the time period. First of all, it can mean a period of time, which it does mean that in some places. But even a literal day is the period of time that takes place between evenings. So there was evening and there was morning, day one, basically, day two, day three, etc. So depending on your definition of evening, that can mean different things. Is it possible that that word had more meaning than you're allowing for? Like, I like to use this example. So when the Bible is talking about clean and unclean animals, it's talking about all these birds, and then it lists bats. It's like, well, bats aren't birds. Yeah, bats aren't birds according to modern conception of like what a bird is. It lays eggs, it has feathers, a beak, like these common qualities. A bat is a mammal, it's not a bird. It's like, but that's not what they meant by bird. It's flying thing, in the same way, like a fish. A fish is cold-blooded, it has scales. Well, it doesn't have to. I don't know exactly the qualities of a fish, but it's not the same as a whale. A whale is a mammal, okay? But their word for fish is just like water-dwelling creature. To say that their word fish couldn't include whale, that's an anachronism. You're applying a modern conceptualization, a framework, you're boxing in an idea or a concept, and then you're applying that same concept to a word that existed anciently.
Yes, I find it rather simple to demolish the literal translation of Genesis. That's not really the issue. The issue is God supposedly inspired this writing. God spoke or hinted, suggested to, or one person told me God used the people as meat muppets or puppets, I think he said, no, meat puppets, to write down the words. That it was God writing it, but yes, God used people as meat puppets to write his holy words. I was like, what? God controlled people? And he's like, yes, God controlled the hands of the people to write down the things in the Bible. So it was God writing it. It looked like on the outside to you and me, it looked like a person writing it, but that's really God holding the hand of the person that's writing it, making them write it. I'm like, why didn't God just do it? Well, I don't know, but so some people believe that God wrote this or inspired it, however you want to put it, and then say, oh, also God knows everything, which means God knows the future, which means God knows that eventually we'll come up with a decent methodology of categorizing bats and birds and whales and fish, etc., instead of, and maybe, I don't know, it would have been a little bit impressive Had God spent the time and energy explaining, hey guys, check it out, while you're bothering to write down all this stuff that I didn't do in the Bible, because I didn't do any of this, by the way. I'm telling you a story about Adam and Eve, even though they didn't exist. Because at this point, what exactly is the story that God is inspiring somebody to write? Because it's written as if it's true. It's written as a narrative. It's written like a story. There's an all-seeing narrator throughout the Bible, by the way. So it's written like a story, but it's also written like it really happened. So how are we supposed to view this dang thing? And some people say, well, we're not supposed to view it literally. It's a metaphor. Okay, what parts are metaphor? All of it? Some of it? How do you tell the difference? If Adam and Eve are a metaphor, and they'd have to be, then where does that place the rest of the Bible? Exodus, also metaphor. Can't have Cain, because he's a metaphor. So anybody descended from Cain now stops existing in reality. Well, Cain has descendants listed in the Bible. All those people, poof, gone. So what about the next story that flows from that story? Also didn't happen. And you go, well, so what? Well, so what is when we get to Jesus, guess who his lineage is traced all the way back to Adam, who didn't exist. So then that's a problem, isn't it? Because you're tracing your lineage to somebody that never was. So, do you exist anymore? I don't know. Or they're tracing it all the way back to Abraham, who also probably didn't actually exist, because his story flows from all the other stories that are also not true. So if it's all metaphor, why bother with any of it? Who cares? It's just a story. And yes, you can get stuff from it. You can do that with any story. But it's not true. That yes, you can get something from it is irrelevant to whether or not it is actually true. The story is not actually true. And whatever ideas you can get from it are secondary and separate from the fact that it's not true. I could say, the bling of the Samaraka, Shinama, Astiu Asimiraka, pragmatic crystal. Well, what did I say? I don't know, a bunch of words, and then I said pragmatic crystal. What does it mean? Well, you could make it mean whatever the bleep you want. I could say, the salad of yesterday is heated within the vortex of black holes. The singularity of the microwave is within the mind of pragmatic crystal. What does any of that mean? I don't know, whatever the bleep you want it to mean. But yeah, you could make it mean something, but that doesn't make it any freaking true. It just means you extrapolated from those words. But that extrapolation had nothing to do with the words per se. Maybe they inspired you. Poems do that. Songs can do that. Azol64 says, stop spreading rumors, lol. Okay, let's break that down. What does that mean? Maybe ASHO64. Oh, A, alpha, the beginning. Z, zeta, the ending of all things. H, of course, a hill up high. O, as in Ohio, the middle of things. 6, as in 6 days of the week, one where you rest. And 4, fourscore and 7 years ago. So what does it mean? Oh, you see, the beginning and the ending of the hill in the middle of the week is when we should start the nation of America. That's what his name really truly means. Ah, all hail Azo 64. Thank you very much. Do that with my name, Deconverted Man. Do me next. Do me next. No. All right, I'll do it with Pragmatic Crystal. The P. No, don't do it, Deconverted Man. No, it's too late. I've started. As in pterodactyl. Pterodactyl starts with a T. No, it starts with a P. Of course. The P is silent. So it's really ragmatic. Rag. Oh, rags are used to clean things. Oh, yes. The cleaning action is matic. Matic, meaning insane. The insane cleaning of the crystal. We know what powers crystals have. Oh, so the insane cleaning of the crystal will reveal to us the truth of reality. All hail Pragmatic Crystal. So saith the Deconverted Man. Hallelujah. Do me next, Deconverted. No, nobody else is doing it. I'm not doing it for anyone else. All right. So, yes. Do me, Deconverted. No, shut up. Stop it. Who are you, anyways? I'm the other guy. What? I'm the guy in your video. Stop being a different person. Anyway, so I'm sorry. But just because you can make it mean something doesn't mean that the story is true. Okay.
That never included those criteria. And then there's also the symbolic aspect where everything is a microcosm of something else. So like there's parity between more specific elements and higher order elements. So like I've used the example of light before. Like so there's material light, which again does not mean the same thing that it meant to an ancient person. Like we're not talking about photons and electromagnetism. We're just talking about the thing that comes from fire or celestial bodies. That's it. It allows you to see. So that is like one microcosm of something greater, which you might call enlightenment. So it's like when something is revealed to your mind or your spirit, that is the same thing. It's light, but they aren't the same things exactly. It's a microcosm of a greater concept. So when you blow out these concepts to greater concentric circles of what they encompass, which is kind of what we did here with this example, it's like this first one is like a very minute microcosm of like all those layers that we went in the other direction. It's encompassed within all of those, but it's also, it mirrors them. So like in all of them, you have someone commenting on a video. So like that is the greater like idea. And so anything within that is described by that. It gets so, this is why it's difficult to talk about these things to a modern like rationalist. Like we don't think about things in these ways. So hopefully this serves as an example, and then when we get to Genesis, we'll have some further examples. Anyway, just thought I'd lay that out there. Shalomi homie.
All right. Well, thank you for the video, and hopefully you'll watch and listen to my short response, and I will leave a comment to that nature in real time so that you can know that it's really me leaving the comment. In fact, you know what? That's not good enough. I'm going to turn on the webcam so we can all see that Deconverted Man is leaving the comment in real time. Yes, let's do that. Hold on, I gotta set it up now. Oh man, yeah, capital T. That's right. How do we? No, that's not it. All right, that's yeah. Yeah. Whoa. All right. All right. Now let's see. Okay. Let's see. Make this bigger. Let's see. Yeah, so everybody can see. All right. My short vid reads about this vid is up. I hope you check it out. All right. All right. So see, I typed that in real time, and oh wait, I just realized we didn't see my fingers. So okay, as you can see, it has been typed in. Oh shit! Get the lobster out of here! Ah, no, cut the camera! Cut the camera! Nobody can see that! Nobody can see that it was really a lobster! Oh shit! No! Delete it from the video! The stream!